Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review, part 2. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups, and this is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books and I let you know what I thought about them. And we had to split it over 2 nights this week because my lunar shipment was delayed. We didn't get it until this morning, right before we opened. It was a hectic, mad dash to get everything ready, but we did it within an hour, so everybody left happy, including me. But I finally got to read my DC, my Image, my Oni, and Fantagraphic books, which we get from Lunar. And would you believe that all 3, Pick of the Week, Cover of the Week, and Smell of the Week, all come from this second round? It just so happens to be that way, so without much further ado, we always start with the Pick of the Week, and this week's Pick of the Week, Plastic Man No More, issue number 1. This is from DC Black Label, not tied into continuity, but definitely picking up on threads from continuity from back in the day, from back not as further along in the day, and even from today. So Plastic Man No More is written by Christopher Cantwell with artwork by Alex Linz, Jacob Edgar as well, Marcelo Maiolo on the coloring. This book was awesome. So this is about Plastic Man finding out that his body is degrading. He's dying, right? And this might be something that even affects his offspring, his son, who we know from the Kingdom series as Offspring. Big fan of self-esteem, by the way, that kid is. Anyway, so Plastic Man No More is about Plastic Man finding out that he's dying, and his life's kind of like a joke, right? If you know about Plastic Man, you know that he's not a character that's usually taken seriously, not just by the characters in the stories, but by some of the creators. Now, the original classic Plastic Man stuff, my buddy Mike, the voice Matthews, hooked me up with a copy of like some of the early appearances. Is it Jack Cole, the name of the creator? That was really cool stuff. And this book, especially artistically and story-wise, picks up a lot of those threads, right? But it's also playing with a lot of the stuff from the 90s when Grant Morrison was utilizing Plastic Man in their JLA series. And I love every single bit of this, right? These characters in this story, the Justice League, the other heroes, they don't take Plastic Man seriously. He's kind of always down on his luck. He finds out he's dying. No one seems to care, but he's trying to save his son. And then that leads us into the actual story and the motivation as to why this is going forward. I loved the art. I thought it was super cool. I loved the characterization. I loved the silly nature of it. I loved that it was a book that was very poignant, even though it's about a character that most people write off as very goofy and very silly. Plastic Man No More, my pick of the week. Loved it. Thought it was great. Lots of good books this week. Some not so good ones too. But now we got Absolute Power issue number 3. I got that Mark Spears cover because that's my boy. I've known Mark for over 20 years. We used to work at a comic shop together. I love Mark. He was just at my shop this last Saturday. Mark, love you, bro. Great cover, great rendition of Failsafe, great rendition of the Amazo Justice League put together by Amanda Waller. Absolute Power number 3 rocked. I loved it. I've been loving this book, right? The first issue I thought was a little on the nose about certain things, but the way that we've built up to this event, the way that this event feels truly earned, right? I love that, right? And we're already starting to set up things to come within the event. Now, this is only 4 issues long, so issue 3 has to get a lot done. You got to get to a point where the heroes are like down and out and start to rise back, and Mark Waid writes that perfectly well. Some really great emotional beats here with a recently turned evil Jonathan Kent. Some great moments with him and Clark. Just the heroes. It feels dire, the situation. It does a great job of tying into everything else and actually tantalizing us to go and check out some of these tie-ins, right? So I thought it was a really well-crafted issue, and Dan Mora's artwork, I mean, it's big, it's bombastic. Mark Waid and Dan Mora are killing it right now on Absolute Power. They were killing it before on Batman Superman World's Finest, and it's no surprise while they're doing the new flagship Justice League book that's on the horizon post-Absolute Power, Justice League Unlimited, and I'm super stoked for it. All right, then we've got Batman 152, an Absolute Power tie-in. I have not liked the Batman Absolute Power tie-ins. Me and Chip Zdarsky on Batman, it's been up and down, right? You got Mike Hawthorne on the art here. Typically, he's coming right after Jorge Jimenez, and it's just such a jarring style from something so fluid and dynamic to something a little bit more stiff and stern. The art here, though, didn't bother me. I liked the art, and I actually liked the story. I thought it was pretty cool. This is Batman and Catwoman off on their own, trying to find Amanda Waller's mother box. They unlock some information that's going to be important to Absolute Power, but I liked it. I thought it was all right. Just because I thought it was good, though, doesn't mean that Chip Zdarsky's Batman run has been incredibly inconsistent. Most of that because of the art, but also a lot of that is because of the story. Some of it is up to Chip. So anyway, Batman 152 wasn't too bad. There's a backup story about the Birds of Prey. I skimmed through that one. I'll probably read it later. Probably not. I don't know. I'm just not digging the Birds of Prey. But Batman 152... it's alright. Then we got Poison Ivy, issue number 25. This is a big celebratory anniversary type issue for Poison Ivy. First of all, station DC for allowing this book to go for 25 issues. Like, if this was Marvel, right now, this would be like issue number 4 of the 3rd series. Like, seriously, that's what it would be. But DC's allowing this book to build up momentum, to build up word of mouth, and the sales are still strong, at least at my shop. I mean, they don't really talk about the sales of comics, right? There's the sales. They don't really talk about those numbers, right? I know what my shop does, and as far as the little microcosm that is my comic shop that I run, Poison Ivy is maintained and actually picked up readership because it feels like something that, oh, I can trust that this book's actually going to go the distance. So this brings a big epic coda conclusion to everything that's been going on for 24 issues and sets up what's to come. And Mariko Tamaki does it in, or Takara. G. Willow Wilson, I'm sorry, Marcio Takara is the artist. They do it in excellent fashion. Then you got a bunch of like short stories that are in here. But it's an anniversary issue, right? So it's kicking off something new. It's wrapping up, excuse me, it's wrapping up as a coda. Everything's already been wrapped up from the first 2 years of this title, but this is a nice coda and set up for what's to come. But then you get all these like little short stories that are actually pretty freaking good. Like there's a Batman one in here that's done by Joanne Starrer and Haining as the artist. I'm not familiar with this artist. Freaking awesome. Freaking super awesome. There's a Killer Croc story that's decent. There's a story about these dudes that are going after the mushrooms that have been very important in this story for the last 2 years. There's a story, there's a Dan Waters Danny story in here. And that's almost worth the price of admission alone. It's a great celebratory issue, but at the same time, for longtime fans who've been reading this book, it is a coda of sorts and a setup, a preamble, if you will, for what's to come. Poison Ivy, this is how you do comic books. That's how you do it. Then we got Penguin number 12. I'm going to give that the cover of the week right there. Mark, you did 2 awesome covers this week. You got cover of the week last week, bro. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I'm going to return the check. Anyway, but the Penguin issue number 12, I love that cover because it has all the characters that have been involved in the story and the outline of Oswald Cobblepot. I thought it was just a super striking cover. Is that Carmine Jean Domenico? It looks like. Where are the titles? The title's probably at the end. Yeah, Carmine Jean Domenico. Love that cover. Loved this issue. Loved this series. Tom King nails the ending here. This whole book is about the Penguin having been disgraced and cut off, coming back to Gotham and taking those reins of power back. And there was a moment where I felt like this story was faltering. Like it was going into some territory that I didn't really like. But no, it pulled itself right back out of that. This has been an amazing story. And I think, and I haven't read every single Penguin comic, but I think I've read every single comic involving Penguin since like at least 1986. I think, but I could be wrong. The Penguin number 12 cements this as my favorite Penguin run of all time. 100%. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. What a great ending. What a great series. It was brutal. It was mean. It was vicious. It was visceral. And at the same time, it's kind of fun. That sounds like a Penguin comic, a crime comic that I can get behind. Tom King and company, you did a great job. Penguin number 12. All right, then we got Justice Society of America, issue number 11, the much delayed Justice League, or Justice Society of America, number 11. Jeff Johns doing JSA. It's a no-brainer. You're going to love it. This, though, felt a little bit like a rushed ending. Now, there's one more issue left. Feels like it's going to be kind of like a little bit of a resolutionatory issue. Resolutionatory? Sure, that's a word. It feels like it's going to be one of those kind of things in the next issue, because this wraps up so much so quickly. Now, it wraps it up efficiently well as far as the narrative goes, but as far as the pacing goes, it's just a bunch of explaining. More explaining, less showing, less dynamic action and artwork. I mean, there's some moments that pop. For the most part, hey, it was alright. But I've heard rumblings that DC's kind of really undercut Jeff on this book. Maybe because they're jealous he took away a bunch of their top talent to go over to Ghost Machine. We'll talk about Ghost Machine in a minute here. But Justice Society of America, issue number 11, is very rushed, I felt, and exposition-heavy wrap-up of a lot of threads that I feel should have been fulfilled a little bit more resonantly, but I think that there are factors outside of our awareness that have allowed that to happen. Then we have The Boy Wonder, issue number 5 from DC Black Label, Juni Ba. I honestly thought, I even said it here on the channel last month, that, oh, issue number 4, what a great wrap-up to the series. I thought we were done. I didn't know where this story was going to go. Well, now the story goes into Ra's al Ghul's perspective, and then Batman shows up, but it also really does drive home Damian's acceptance with the Robins and his acceptance of who he is, and then Batman's in there to kind of round it all out. But a really great issue, great artwork, something different, something cool. I really enjoyed this series, and it was a really great look at the legacy of Robin, how that affects Damian, and the legacy of Damian and Ra's al Ghul, and how that affects the Robins. Really cool stuff. I liked it. Definitely going to be something that you can read and reread over and over again, especially if you're a Robin fan. I'm a Robin fan. My name's Robin. Anyway, Rook Exodus here with issue number 5. This was a pick of the week contender. This was a great issue of Rook Exodus. This is the moment where our hero has lost his connection to his crows. He is at his wit's end. He doesn't know what to do, and the spirit of Pumbaa from Lion King basically guides him along his path and really helps him understand his power and how his connection with the crows works and how to utilize that in the most effective way. This was a great issue. This is the issue where the hero is down, everything seems hopeless, and then we got to pull that right back around and do a 180 in the story, and Jeff Johns does that immaculately well. And then you've got Jason Fabok on the artwork. Crisp, clean, dense and detailed, with never feeling cluttered or oppressive or overly complex or anything like that. What a great frickin' issue of Rook Exodus. And it's the smell of the week. Why? Because it smells like high-quality paper, and it also smells like revitalization in a hero. There you go. Then we got Scarlet here with issue number 4, the penultimate issue of this series, which has, in my opinion, been the weakest book so far in the entirety of the Energon universe. That being said, it's still a damn good book, right? Art's pretty cool, not quite what I would have picked for this run, but it works, and it works well enough. But I love the dynamic and the relationship between Scarlet and Jinx that's being built here. Really fleshed out by writer Kelly Thompson. She's doing a great job with these characters. The action sequences, they work, they flow well enough. And the ending's where you just go, bruh, shit about to go down in issue number 5, man. For real, for real. I'm just going to say, Storm Chateau. It's so freaking cool. Scarlet issue number 4 continues the trend of awesome Energon universe books. And if that's the weakest Energon book in the whole line, I mean, that's saying a lot. That's still a dope line. Then we got the Holy Roller issue number 8, the penultimate issue of that. I love saying the word penultimate issue. It's actually my favorite word, penultimate. Penultimate. I don't know why. It's such a comic booky word to say, right? And I love it. Like, back in the day, when we had letters columns in most comics, they would be like, next issue, the penultimate issue of our story. It was so fun, so much fun. The Holy Roller's been great, though. It's way better than it should be. Rick Remender, Andy Samberg, Joe Troman, Roland Boshi. What a freaking great book. Our hero has been captured The villain reveals his big plot. It's got humor, it's got action, it's got scale and scope, and it's still very grounded and meaningful. It's saying some stuff without being preachy, and it's actually funny without being dumb and stupid. And honestly, as much as I love Lonely Island, as much as I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I thought Andy Samberg doing a comic book about a bowler-themed superhero would be really, really cheesy. Really. And it's not. It's really good. And the art, magnifique, is so freaking good. Holy Roller is one of the best superhero books out there. Do you know? Do you know? Do you really know? Who's reading Holy Roller? Let me know in the comments down below. Then we got Gunslinger Spawn here with issue number 35. Since Spawn 350, Gunslinger Spawn has kind of dipped a little bit in my levels of enjoyment. This is yet another flashback to Javi's past. We see him fight somebody. Javi in the future right now has been beaten up by a bunch of people. He's in the hospital. He's in a coma. So there's a flashback thing going on here. It doesn't really give us anything new or interesting. But what does happen is the last page of this book. As I'm reading it, I'm just like, it's kind of dull. It's kind of boring. It's kind of same old, last page. What? Now, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Then we got Spawn 356. Look at that sweet-ass cover from my boy Mark Spears. Runner up for cover of the week. Really good work here, Mark. Mark, you're killing it. Killing it. I'm only going to send you back half of that check now. So, that's just jokes, y'all. You can't buy my opinion. Anyway, Spawn 356. A great issue of Spawn. Since Brett Booth has jumped onto this title, I really started liking it. I used to think my disenjoyment with this book was because of the writing by Rory McConville, but it's not. It was the fact that I needed something really cool, gnarly, and dynamic in the artwork, and now we've got it. We've got the story of, what's her name, Lyra, right? So Lyra was teased at the beginning of the post 350 Spawn as like, oh, seems like a new Angela Tiffany type character. It's more than that. You get her origin here. I love the origin. I love this character. I love the way that Brett Booth is executing this story and telling it visually. Absolutely stunning work. Absolutely great. And that cover, Mark, it's great. You know, I actually have a Mark Spears Spawn image framed and up in my living room. Did you know that? Did you know that, Mark? You didn't, did you? You didn't. You didn't. Anyway, Hate Revisited is here with issue number 3. I think this is the penultimate issue, but we don't really talk about that. Pete Bagg is back doing Hate, revisiting the lives of Buddy and Stinky and everybody else, and at the same time telling us their current stories, right? I love this book. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Even if you've never read Hate before, which is great. Hate is one of the best comic books of all time. It really is. And as far as underground, alternative, independent, kind of like in-your-face, do-it-yourself kind of books, Hate is one of the best. It's up there near the echelon of something like Daniel Clow's Ghost World, right? Or not Ghost World, but 8-Ball. It's not just Ghost World. Ghost World is just a small part of the awesomeness that is 8-Ball. And if you learn anything from me on this channel, read Daniel Clow's stuff. Also read Pete Bagg's stuff. This is great, because even if you've never read the original stuff, which you should, you can enjoy this book, because he's giving us tales set in the past, pre-Hate, also during the time of Hate, and set today. So you get to see these characters grown up, how they're dealing with things, and the backup stories always, or the stories in the back in the day, always have something thematically relevant for the stories of today. And the backup stories are all done in that classic hatched black and white style that Bagg utilized back in those days, and then full color on the modern stories. And they're playing with modern politics, they're playing with identity, they're playing with all kinds of stuff that's going on today that was not in existence to this level in the public consciousness in this way in the days when Hate was coming out, and hell, even Neat Lives before that. Hate Revisited is great. Great for old school fans and great for new school fans. And if you like your comics edgy, interesting, and trying to say something, but at the same time just being fun and one dude doing it, check out Hate Revisited. And they use every single page. There's not a wasted moment in this book. Really cool stuff. Can't open too many pages of that. Might be offensive. Anyway, if you're easily offended, do not read hate. Or maybe read hate and get over it. Anyway, then we got the Autumn Kingdom issue number 1 here. This is a Cullen Bunn, Christopher Mitten book. Love the artwork. So it's a fantasy story, but it's about a writer of these fantasy stories. So you have moments that are straight up fantasy, and then you have the moments of the writer with his partner taking their kids to a new home or something like that. And maybe the reality and the fiction blend a little bit more than is necessary to this family, right? So there's that kind of element. Cullen Bunn is a capable storyteller. He's good. Christopher Mitten's artwork is great. Grungy, gritty, raw, and textured when it needs to be. So I love the artwork, and actually I like the setup of the story. It feels reminiscent right now of something like Helen of Windhorn, but this is doing something different. This is more like B-movie, and Helen of Windhorn's more like art house, if that makes sense. But you know what? We love the B-movies here. In fact, we love the D movies, the E movies, the F movies. Fuck, we love double, triple Z movies here at PCP. That's what we do. But the Autumn Kingdom was decent. That's from Oni Press. Also, Cruel Universe, issue number 2. Oni Press has revitalized and rebooted the EC franchise, right? But they're not doing Tales from the Crypt. I think there's rights issues there. But they got Epitaphs from the Abyss. So far, they haven't been working for me. Cruel Universe is their more dark sci-fi book. First issue was alright, but it didn't fully work for me. This one worked for me. I really liked it. The first issue is by the first story is by Stephanie Phillips and Riley Rosmo. I really liked that story. I thought that was great, especially considering the tradition of EC Comics. Then you got a 2-page stories from Ben H. Winters and Leo Max. I liked that one. It was a bit quick. Could have been a little more explored. Then there was a Chris Condon and Javi Fernandez story. That was really good. I liked that one too. It reminded me a little bit of Dead Zone, but a little bit different than that. And then the last story is by Chris Cantwell and David Lapham, and it's called Raygun, and that story rocked, and it's been my favorite of this run yet. What they did, Chris Cantwell and David Lapham, what they did in this last issue, in this last story, in this issue, that's what EC Comics is to me. And that's what it is, especially in the modern day. More of that, please. More of that, please. So I liked it. So anyway, that's it. That's part 2 of the weekly comic book review. Sorry we had to split it into 2 this week, but hopefully that won't happen again. If it does happen again, that will be unfortunate. Anyway, what are you reading? What are you digging? What are you thinking? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and vote for us over at cbcawards.org. We're nominated for a bunch of categories. So vote for PCP and vote for Fable. Vote for Two Gun Pedro. Vote for Go Figure Reviews. Vote for Nick Comic Culture. And vote for Eric over at 9 Panel Grid. Anyway, I'm dipping out. Thanks for watching. Keep on reading. Station. Pop, pop. What do I say now? What's that? Doom? Doom? Oh, boom!